one of the largest natural marine areas of northwest Europe, a habitat for a rich variety of birds, fish and sea mammals. A place where people and animals have coexisted in symbiosis since time immemorial. A place, therefore, which we have to care for. The North Sea is a complex but balanced ecosystem, a magnificent structure of relationships and interdependence. Due to the enormous quantities of plankton in the water, it's also a particularly productive ecosystem. Not only the water, but also the sandy seabed of the North Sea seethes with life. Plankton's the food for worms, shrimps, shellfish and small lobsters, which in turn are eaten by small fish such as herrings and sprats, and by flatfish such as plaice and sole. They, in their turn, are important prey for predatory fish. Right at the top of this chain are the large sea mammals and the seabirds, which, when they eventually die, themselves become the food for all sorts of small organisms. Because of this balanced food chain, the North Sea has been able to develop into one of the richest fishing grounds in the world. For the bordering countries, therefore, it has also been an important source of our food for centuries. People and fisheries go together on the North Sea as a matter of course. Countless new generations have been able to benefit from the riches of the sea, which brought prosperity to many villages and families. Moreover, fishery could continue to develop further as an industry. Bigger boats with bigger capacities, different nets with which fishing can be more efficient. Processing fish at sea. The apparently inexhaustible quantity of fish has led to extensive expansion of the fishing fleet in almost all of the North Sea countries, and correspondingly, therefore, to much more intensive fishing. Although the catches generally still seem to be abundant, crucial limits have been reached for many species of fish, and in some cases, such as that of cod, these limits have already been exceeded. The vulnerable ecosystem and the biodiversity of the North Sea are currently being seriously threatened. A significant factor in this context is the intensive fishing. But other users also play a role. The North Sea is not only one of the most heavily sailed seas in the world, people also use it very intensively in other ways. Large-scale construction plans, such as windmills, may have an impact on the North Sea and its coastline in the future. One of the gauges for the state of the North Sea is the size of the population of long-living species of fish, such as the ray and the porpoise. Rays, which previously were generally found everywhere in the North Sea, have had their numbers sharply depleted and in certain areas of the North Sea are now only very rarely seen. Rays are caught as bycatches when fishing with bottom trawls. Commercially valuable species are taken to the auction for consumption purposes. However, non-consumable species will be discarded. This threatens not only species that are long-lived, large and have a low fecundity, but also stocks of several commercial species have diminished drastically. Some of these have even decreased so dramatically that they are currently below a safe biological limit. If this situation lasts for long, the chance exists that these species will never be able to recover to a responsible level. Ironically enough, besides the fish, it's mainly fisheries themselves that are hit by the crisis in the North Sea. Due to the high fishing pressure, an increasingly larger proportion of catches consist of small or even undersized fish and non-commercial species. Some European fishermen take this problem seriously and are experimenting with more selective methods of fishing in which there's less disruption to life on the seabed and fewer undersized fish and bycatches are caught. Some European fishermen also stick strictly to the specified TAC quotas. However, regulations and specified TACs have been unable to provide sufficient protection for the fish stocks in the North Sea. One of the causes is the overcapacity in the European fleet that leads to overfishing. In addition, the control of compliance with the European regulations does not always appear to be equally thorough and effective. How can we expect an individual fisherman to comply with regulations and quotas if later these are blatantly abused by a fellow fisherman? Responsibility for the North Sea has to be shared by all its neighbouring countries. The current problems can only be tackled successfully by pursuing a common and consistent management policy, and provided that everyone also complies with that management policy. An emergency measure, for example, the temporary closure for catching cod in certain parts of the North Sea, has not resulted in the required protection for cod, because it's led to fishing shifting from one area to another, from one species to another. A real structural recovery plan for the North Sea requires effective measures for all users of the North Sea. Measures that are the same for all countries and which can be easily complied with, monitored and controlled. Reduction of the fishing pressure is an initial prerequisite for recovery of the disturbed balance. Alternative fishing methods can make a significant contribution, as well as a harmonized control system. If we do nothing now, the long-term consequences will be dramatic. Then, not only the fish, but also the fishing industry will disappear. Only if we resolutely take adequate and effective measures will the North Sea have an opportunity to again become what it once was. A healthy ecosystem, one of the largest natural marine ecosystems of Northwest Europe, a place where people and animals can coexist in symbiosis, and, at the same time, be the basis for a healthy and profitable fishing industry. So, care for the North Sea. Bring the North Sea back into balance.